what are we going after with this? What is Disney thinking with this? Who is this designed to appeal to when it seems that the Walt Disney Company, from a financial standpoint, is already on a very, very slippery slope? I don't know if there's a single division at the Walt Disney Company that's really firing on all cylinders, save for perhaps, as I mentioned before, the cruise ships. But that is largely because that entire industry has been lifted tremendously in the past 12 months. I mean, Royal Caribbean, Carnival Cruise Lines, Norwegian, they have had huge quarters. People are really getting back on the boats. Disney's beneficiary of that kind of macro level event. But then they throw this out. Like, do they expect that a guy like this is selling? He's going to appeal to what, little girls to buy Minnie Mouse dresses? Help me out here, Michelle.
What is
pro? What?
Go ahead. No, I've got a funny thing. So let me throw the funny thing out before I lose it. But to be facetious, this individual looks a little bit like a very young Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. So perhaps they're attempting to rebrand Rock and Roller Coaster. That's all I can come up with, because otherwise we are back in the cycle. And by the way, folks, the Walt Disney stock is now back sub 90. So that little boost they saw out of the earnings report is quickly disappearing. So yeah, I think we're back in the same situation. And Disney really does not need to put themselves in a spot where, okay, so here's the thing. To make this very simple, Disney has been acting very much like some of these other companies which have been diminished greatly by backlash. And certainly Disney has been a part of it. And you might even argue that Disney is the original Bud Light, and that Bud Light may have not even occurred had Disney not channeled conservative, traditional, and moderate families to be aware that this was being pushed down into their children's media. However, Disney, for the most part, has pushed things as of late, last 6, 7, 8 months, that are not easy to put into visual medium, okay? So Disney makes these terrible mistakes. And so like you and I, we've done these Disney DEI exposed videos, right? But you have to look at slideshows, and you have to go through and see what they're doing to their employees, and yada, yada, yada. Well, that doesn't make for great news, right? That doesn't get people to stop on their TV and go, whoa, what is that? This does. This is a highly visual faux pas. This is an unforced error that is easily moved into the news media and carried by conservative media for a while. And Disney has done this, and they're going to do it again, as you said, in the next month. I'm not here to make some kind of moral judgment for people out there. You could do whatever you want. I'm not here to tell you what to do. But when it comes from the financial side of it, if you're already in hot water with moderates and conservatives, and your stock is already down, and your attendance at your parks is down, and you're losing 100,000 subscribers to your mainline streaming service per month for the last 6 months in North America, your leading market, maybe this is not the time. Maybe you chill on this for a while.
You think? Just slightly, maybe.
And Steven Tyler, seriously, look. I mean, it's
you're not wrong. As soon as you said that, I'm laughing. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, he's right. This really.
Well, what I think is funny about this.
Can we get demonetized and play "Dude Looks Like a Lady"? Let's just do it right now. Michelle, go.
What I think is funny about this is unlike Bud Light, who actually got the real Dylan to sponsor and trash their brand. Disney got discount Dylan. They can't even actually get Dylan. Like, that's where we are with Disney. And the unfortunate thing is, you asked who this is targeted towards. I do think that this is targeted towards like that pre-teenage, maybe young teen, if not right before teen. Both boys and girls is who I think they're trying to appeal, and that's sick.
Well, who else? I agree. Who else? But the question, Michelle and Joe, is this: does it actually appeal to preteen girls? I mean, Michelle? I mean, you're obviously you're the closest one to that demographic on this panel. Would this appeal to a 12-year-old girl to go, oh, look at this guy wearing a Minnie Mouse dress?
I don't think so, unless they're already a very damaged girl. No, I don't know.
I don't pretend to understand this generation, so that's why I'm asking.
I don't think so, but I do know from my niece that stuff like this gets around. Like, it'll get on TikTok and get all these views, and it is that age group that's watching it.
It's bizarre. It really is bizarre to me, and it's like what on earth prompts us to get to this point? And especially, again, Disney having as many problems as it does, and it's a pattern with Disney for now. Matter of fact, I guess let me try to bring this in here real quick if I can. Let's see if I can switch over and do a Chrome tab share. But
it's really funny too is as you're looking for that, when you're talking about the issues that Disney has, it is difficult at this point to find something that is not an issue for Disney, right? We can even say the cruise lines. The cruise lines are a happy place for Disney, but they're still in recovery mode. So it's not as if everything is pristine and perfect even with the cruises. But outside of the cruises, things are fundamentally flawed at Disney to the point that you have to really question the viability of these various divisions and segments of the company. Yeah. Disney Plus losing subscribers in its main line. Disney Parks attendance down. You go to their issues with ESPN. I don't know how this is going to play out with the ESPN bet. I saw an article this morning talking about how it's a desperate ploy. Now, do I think that's true? I don't know. I think the jury's still out. But Mickey getting into gambling is not a sure thing either.
No, even if they're just taking some licensing revenues from it. But I mean, this is remember this a few months ago. This was in the video that I put out. It wasn't in the clip that I showed earlier. But you can, everybody remembers.
So my name's Nick. I want to carry on Melissa's Apprentices. I'm here to shop you around and make all your selections for the day.
And now, I mean that's where we are with this. I mean, it's like this is a thing now with Disney where every turn they're going to try to do this. And what's really shocking to me is, and I want to hear y'all's thoughts on this. How is it that with everything that just happened with Bud Light and TikTok, or excuse me, Bud Light and Bud Light and Target. This guy's from TikTok, as is Dylan. Sorry. Yeah, Le Target. These folks are from TikTok, but Target and Bud Light. Then Disney, after watching this, still turns around. And remember, we're a month and a half now removed from Pride Month. Now they're doing it now. Like, what is Disney trying to say with this right now at this point in the year? Like, I could have laughed this off in the middle of June or something like that. So this is just Disney trying to do that. But they're doing it now after all these other bad things happened to these other major companies. They saw what the reaction is. And that's beer. That's an adult brand. That's an adult product. This is freaking Disney.
Can I tell you a funny story that's real?
Go for it.
Okay, here's the funny story. This gets you into how tangled things can be with Disney because of their stupidity and these decisions they make. It's on a small scale, but it's really funny. So they put in these new standards for cast members so that cast members can essentially dress however they want. They don't have to be locked into gender norms, right? Okay, fair enough, right? I disagree with it, but okay. Well, there are some areas of the Walt Disney World Resort and Disneyland where the attire that cast members wear are very distinct, cumbersome, not pleasant, etc. One of those is the Haunted Mansion. And so cast members who work at the Haunted Mansion, the women have to wear these very laborious sort of dresses, difficult to wear, not easy to deal with in the Florida heat, etc. And then the men have to wear these tuxedo kind of things, right? And they're all sort of macabre. All right, so on top of that then, when these new standards come out for the cast members, allowing them to switch up what they want to wear, it made it so that the cast at the Haunted Mansion, if you're a male, if you're a biological male, you could choose to wear the dress, and some have, by the way, and it's odd. And then also, if you're a woman, you could choose to wear the tux. Now, here's where the funny part comes in. So then on top of that, so neither one of these sides are comfortable, right? But if you were going to mishmash these, if you chose to wear the top of the dress from the women's side of this, and you chose to wear the pants from the men's side, you get the best of both worlds. So some cast members started arguing that they, being trans individuals, that they should be allowed to wear the women's top and the men's bottom. And they've allowed them to do that, which has then made very angry all of the other cast members, because here they are wearing these ridiculous things. And then you have these individuals who are playing the system, and they get to wear a mishmash of the most comfortable items, and they look ridiculous and stupid. That is the situation that Disney has put itself in, where you just have this constant wardrobe battle going on between 18 and 19-year-olds who don't care one bit about this. They just care about manipulating the system and Disney was so stupid they introduced it. And then that is a microcosm of all the many rivers and streams and tributaries of stupidity all throughout the company in 1,000 different ways that you can't even keep track of.
People ask real quick, and Joe and Michelle, I want you to give your thoughts on what Pro just said, but I just want to mention this while I'm thinking about it. People keep asking, why do we harp on Disney so much? It's because literally nobody else out there does this stuff. Nobody. Not anywhere near this degree. Warner Brothers does not have this problem. Universal, who has another competitive theme park to Disney, one that is overtaking Disney. Universal's not really engaging in this kind of stuff at all. Paramount doesn't have this problem. Sure, all these other companies have their own issues. They're not all wonderful. Not everything is roses and sunshine and rainbows over there. But the degree of self-mutilation from a business and commercial perspective by the Walt Disney Company is something spectacular to behold. And it's like every week something else. I can't believe, are they really doing this now? They're having all these other problems, and this is where they're going. Instead of trying to focus on, if I'm the Walt Disney Company right now, I am starting a $50 million national advertising campaign of how much Disney means to American families and American children. I'm going back to Walt. I'm bringing out stuff of Walt. Remember, Pro, when they did the 100th anniversary thing, and we were both like, this is great. This trailer they did, wasn't that the trailer they did for the 100? Yeah. That is what they need to put out to remind that America and American families how integral that Disney has been to Americana for so many decades. But instead, they continue to dive into TikTok politics and do stupid stuff like this. But that's okay, because you and I, and then Michelle, and then I get to get Joe in here to go on rants about it. But so Michelle, Joe, rant. Go for it.
I'll let Joe go first.
I've been sitting here racking my brain, just trying to put myself in the power seat of the decision makers here, and you're all making the obvious point, which should have been striking in the face, is didn't you learn anything from Bud Light and Dylan Mulvaney? Mm-hmm. And what I'm trying to think to myself is, okay, so let's assume that we're dealing with someone who isn't an ideologue. They are committed toward pushing forward this trans thing, especially with all the pushback that they've gotten from and the public feud they're in with DeSantis over this particular agenda. So now they basically want to make a display that they're not going to back down. Well, then they have to deal with, okay, we don't want to have a Dylan Mulvaney situation. And perhaps they try and distinguish between Dylan Mulvaney and others, and that Dylan Mulvaney was unique in that he was a parody of women. He wasn't really maybe they try to attribute his failing, and
14-year-old girls,
is because he actually made women look weak. His whole portrayal of being a woman is a woman running around in high heels in a campsite, falling over and just being terrified of a bee, which is exact opposite messaging that we've been portrayal of women that we've seen for the last 15 years of being strong, independent, and all that other stuff. So maybe they felt the reason there was that level backlash is because of Dylan Mulvaney specifically and the way he portrayed his transgenderism or whatever it is that he claims to be. But that someone else doesn't have that same baggage with respect to pissing off women to that degree because he's not making a mockery out of women. What's surprising to me, though, is that I was looking up Sean Altman on TikTok, and I was thinking maybe they're trying to tap into an individual who has a particularly large following and saying that we're going to now be appealing to this person's fans, the same way we've always seen that people will take celebrities and try and appeal to their fans. But Sean Altman has 719,000 followers on TikTok. While that's a really nice number that you and I would love to have on YouTube, at the same time, that's not a massive following. That's not a huge following at all. If he was someone who had 5, 10, 20 million followers, or even, somewhere north of 2-3 million, you can understand that they're sort of looking like they're buying a celebrity to bring in there who's promoting the ideology that they have a strong inclination to promote. Because they definitely have that inclination on both internally and as a way of basically thumbing their nose at DeSantis. But that to pick Sean Altman, who, like I said, I mean, even now, even after he's gotten this exposure, only has 719,000 subs. I have no idea how few. I'm sure that's gone up since he's had the Disney exposure. To try and take him, maybe it must be it's hubris that they just feel like we're Disney, we're too big to fail. We are Americana. We are something that parents cannot keep their kids from attending and watching because of the rich history that Disney has, which is unparalleled. You can talk about, you can talk about any studio agency, Pixar, whatever. They're not Disney. At the end of the day, Disney is, and they're trying to ride that. They're riding the success that they've had for decades and decades, and basically saying that we are too big to fail. And if we hit a slow patch, we'll be able to get past that because we're Disney, and Disney is America. I mean, it has been for a century. So perhaps perhaps it is hubris to that degree. That's the best I can come up with.
I think to a large extent you're correct. And Pro and I have talked about this before. I think Bob Iger largely believes not just the Walt Disney Company, but more specifically, I think Bob Iger believes that Bob Iger is indestructible and he's inelastic in terms of his price to value ratio for the Disney Company. Mm-hmm. And they're finding out right now that ain't the case.
Renegade.